I bought this flashlight 4 years ago now, and it's been one of my top recommendations in that time, both for people who are looking for an affordable EDC, but also for people who are just getting into the world of high-power flashlights. Now, Wurkkos recently updated this with the FC11C version, and they asked if I was interested in reviewing it. I was glad that I accepted because I've been really impressed with it. It's addressed pretty much every issue that I had with the original, and it's still coming in under $30, which is really quite impressive. So I'm going to show you not just why this is a really good flashlight, but specifically the reasons why I think this is a good light for people who are interested in getting into or are curious about high power flashlights. The first reason that I've recommended this light for so long to beginners is actually because of the batteries. So a lot of these, higher powered, higher end flashlights, they use lithium-ion rechargeable batteries, which are great because they give you significantly more power. But for a lot of people who are not really into this yet, that can be a little bit intimidating. You have to know which batteries to buy, you have to know how to use and charge them, you have to buy chargers for them. Wurkkos makes this really simple. They just include the battery that you need. So inside here is a protected 18650 battery cell. This is just a standard 18650. It's a pretty good quality cell. But even better, I think, is the back of the flashlight has a USB-C charging port under this rubber port cover. Now, a lot of flashlights have these like really thin, flimsy port covers that make me worry about waterproofing, that it's not gonna seal it very well. But the FC11 has a really nice, very well sealed port, which is something that I like a lot about this light, honestly. Now, the next thing I really like about the FC11 is the interface, which is basically the same between this older and newer version. There's just a few minor updates. You press the button to turn it on, press again to turn it off. While it's on, if you press and hold, it will cycle between low, medium, and high. When the light is off, if you press and hold, it will activate the Moonlight Mode. So this is a very low output mode, which, by the way, is a really important inclusion on a light, in my opinion. And then finally, when the light is either on or off, if you double tap, it will jump to turbo, the maximum output. In addition, this light has a really neat feature where if you press and hold the light from off for 3 seconds, it will like flash at you. And then now you have smooth ramping instead of stepped ramping. So you can kind of decide if you prefer to have that like 3 step levels of output or just like the smooth ramping. That's really nice for people who aren't yet sure which they prefer. Personally, I do like the stepped ramping. I just find it a little bit faster and more efficient to use, but it's subjective and you have the option, which is really nice. If you press the button 4 times in rapid succession, the light will lock out. So when you press the button now in lockout mode, it will blink to tell you, hey, it's locked, you can't use it. You have to press it 4 times again, and then it will turn on and you can use it. This prevents the light from turning on accidentally in your pocket or in a bag or something, which both can prevent it from burning a hole in your pants because it gets very hot, but also, perhaps more likely, it just helps prevent the battery from dying when you're not using the light. And then there is an indicator here in the side switch, which lights green to let you know when the battery is good, and then as it starts to die, it'll turn red. This will also indicate the charging status when you're charging the light up. The original one had just a little bit of a delay when turning on and off. This one, it's a little bit quicker. The other thing is that the original one, the lowest level was just in the normal part of the ramp. So you would cycle between moonlight, low, medium, high, moonlight. On this one, the moonlight is hidden, so it's only low, medium, and high. And then when you want moonlight, you just press and hold from off, which is definitely an improvement in my opinion. I like that. Another thing that's really great about both of these flashlights, but especially the new one, is that they have high CRI LEDs. What this means is that the LEDs trade a little bit of output and efficiency for better color rendering. In other words, the light they produce is a little more natural looking and colors are represented more accurately. This is something that a lot of flashlight enthusiasts place a lot of emphasis on. And a lot of people who are not really into flashlights yet, they are interested, but they're kind of hesitant because you lose a bit of output. Both of these flashlights are still very bright, but they have great color rendering. I think it's a really good balance for one, but also a great kind of intro into that. So the original has a Samsung LH351D. This LED puts out just under 1200 lumens. I measured like 1130. And the color rendering is good. It's not great, but it's good. The beam coloration is pretty decent as well. Again, I think this is a good option for the price. This new one is a Nichia 519A, which is kind of every enthusiast's favorite LED right now. It has a wonderful, very neutral, accurate tint, really good color rendering. It just looks great. And this one is still very bright. It's a bit over 1,000 lumens, which honestly, you can't even really tell the output difference between these two. This particular one has a 5000K neutral white temperature, so it's not like a harsh cold white, but it's also not super warm. It's just kind of a nice natural neutral color. I quite like it. They also offer this light with a 4000K emitter, which is my personal favorite, but I think most people will prefer the 5000K. The beam pattern itself is also really good. It's well balanced, great for general usage, for EDC usage. We've got an orange peel reflector up here, this slightly textured reflector, which just kind of helps the beam to be a little bit smoother. It helps to reduce artifacts and color shifting. It's honestly just great, especially for an affordable flashlight. The beam is really nice. Now, the big improvement with this new version, the FC11C over the FC11, is the driver, the electronics. This now has a high-efficiency buck driver, which basically means performance in terms of output sustained over time, and runtimes are going to be a lot better on this flashlight. And the fact that it's able to do that for like $2 more than the original is actually really impressive. So when we actually look at the runtime graphs, again, the original is a bit brighter, but it doesn't sustain its output for nearly as long. It drops much quicker and it falls further. The FC11C is able to sustain a lot more light, and especially when we look at the full runtime graphs, we can see that the FC11 kind of trails off. It just sort of slopes downward and eventually dies. But this new one is a huge improvement. It's able to sustain a significant amount of light. Super impressive, honestly, for a flashlight of this price. And it sustains that basically flat for the whole runtime until it dies. It also appears that this is not just a timed step down, but that it's actually controlled by temperature, meaning that it'll prevent the light from overheating, which again is great to see. The implementation was really well done. I'm happy about that because some of Wurkkos' older lights, like this purple headlamp I have up there, that one did not have super good thermal regulation. The output fluctuated quite a bit over the runtime, but this FC11C does a really good job. I read on a comment somewhere that if you go to the maximum output on the ramping level and then drop it a bit, it'll actually sustain more output than if you do turbo. I did test that. It didn't really make much of a difference. Honestly, it seems to be more about temperature than anything else. But just be aware, you can sustain a little bit more output if you're not using turbo, but you're using the high modes. And also, again, the amount that it sustains will depend a bit on temperature. The old one has, I think it's a 2 lumen moonlight level, which is fine. It's a bit bright, but it's okay. This new one is definitely dimmer. It's about half the output, maybe a little less. For me, moonlight levels are very significant. A good flashlight has to have a very dim, ultra low mode. And this one does. Again, that it's able to do that at this price with all of the other features, it's awesome, actually. So finally, the main reason that this flashlight is great, I've mentioned it a bunch of times, but it's the price. This isn't the cheapest flashlight in the world, but considering how good it is, everything that it's got going for it, this is a fantastic value. And I'm not just saying that. I did buy this one myself originally. I'm not sponsored or influenced by Wurkkos, whatever. I actually just bought this light and I love it, and I recommend other people buy it all the time. Now, Wurkkos did send me this one, you know, so I guess you can assume some bias there, but you saw how much better this one is than the original, and this one was already great. So the original, it sells for, I think, $35 on Amazon, which is a great value, but if you buy it from Wurkkos' site direct, it's like $24, which is really great. It's a super good value for this flashlight. The FC11C is like $2 or $3 more expensive, so again, it's $35 on Amazon. Like, even at that price, it's great, but on Wurkkos' website, it's on sale for $27, which is a fantastic price. Now, on Wurkkos' site, it does say that it's on sale, but they kind of do that thing where it's always on sale. And if it's not, when you're looking at it, just wait a little bit, and I guarantee it'll be back on sale again. That's my opinion on these flashlights. I think the FC11 is great. This is, again, awesome flashlight, but this new one is a very worthwhile upgrade. Definitely buy this one over the old one. Highly recommended light. I really, really do like this flashlight. I will link Wurkkos' website in the description. I will also put an Amazon link in the description, which is a referral link. So if you want to pay extra for the light, you will support the channel a little bit. You know, that is an option if you want to do that. But anyway, I'd like to thank Wurkkos for sending this light to me. And I would like to thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, there's a bunch of other great ones on this channel, including a recent review of this, the Convoy T4. And the T3. These are also very good flashlights if you're getting into the world of flashlights, if you want something affordable. These use AA's or 14500 lithium ions. So great option, $15, $20. These three lights are kind of my go-to cheap flashlight recommendations at this point.